Hey, and welcome to the Chef's Table, a weekly video series for culinary entrepreneurs who want to monetize their skills outside of the kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Evelyn. This is the place for successful women who want to live, cook, and work on their own terms. So if that's you, let's get started. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Chef's Table. I'm your host, Chef Evelyn, and the Chef's Table is a weekly video series for women chefpreneurs who want to build high-end culinary brands with multiple streams of income. And I'm back with another video. Super excited for today's episode, for today's training, for today's lesson. And we're going to be talking about 5 benefits of building a high-end culinary brand. So if you've been trekking along with me so far this year, we have really been going deep into why this is the year that you probably should consider building a high-end culinary brand. What is a high-end culinary brand exactly? Because that is a phrase or a term that I created to describe the brand that I've built over the past several years. We talked about what it is, what it's not. We've talked about whether or not you're experiencing some things that may be an indication that you should in fact build a high-end culinary brand. And in my last video, we went really deep about asking some really difficult questions about if you're a good fit for a high-end culinary brand. So if you've missed any of those videos or any of the previous videos that I've done over the past several years, I have a playlist on this channel chocked full of videos to help you build your high-end culinary brand with multiple streams of income, or just to support you on your chefpreneurship journey. So make sure you check that out. Listen, what I recommend is getting like a bowl of popcorn or your favorite snack and just having a full-on marathon session, right? Treat it like a season on Netflix and just go ahead and watch it all the way through, and then save your favorites, take notes, share them with some of your chef friends or your food preneur friends, and so that everyone gets all the love. So today we're going to go a little bit lighter hearted, and we're going to talk about instead of talking about like some really deep questions to ask yourself like we did in the last video, but I think it's super crucial. Do not skip that video. In this video, we're going to talk about the benefits of having a high-end culinary brand, because here's the thing. Anytime we embark upon something, we really want to know, well, what's in it for me? Like, yes, my clients are going to have an amazing experience. Yes, my clients are going to give me raving testimonials. Yes, but what's in it for me? What's in it for the person who's going to do the work to build this high-end culinary brand, who's going to invest at a high level to learn how to build this culinary brand? It's like, if I'm going to do that, well, what's in it for me? And so hopefully this video will answer that question. So if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to the channel, like, girl, go ahead and subscribe. I know there's some guys that watch too. You are more than welcome to get all of this wonderfulness. Listen, I love you equally. Okay. But subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so that you don't miss these trainings that I upload every single week, which I think will really be beneficial to you and supportive to you in your chefpreneurship journey. So let's dive right in. If you haven't been here before, if I'm looking down, it's because I have all the things that I want to share with you on a note card, because I really value your time, and that if you are taking the time to watch this video, I don't want to give you just a bunch of fluff. I really want to give you something that is valuable and useful to you that you can take back and either consider, chew on, or use in your chef business or use in the future. So in today's video, like I said, we're going to talk about 5 benefits to you as the owner of creating a high-end culinary brand. And the first one is the kind of clientele. Let me tell you, there is a huge difference in the kind of clientele I had before I crafted a high-end culinary brand and the kind of clientele that I had after. And I think we talked about this in one of my videos. Like, if you've had the clients who are like trying to negotiate your rates, or trying to nitpick through your invoice, or trying to, well, I'll buy the groceries, or I'll have my cousins and them serve the food. Like, if you've experienced that, I could tell you it's much different on this side. One of my policies I had was, I required a certain deposit to work with me, right? Most of my clients pay in full. They don't even want to do the whole back and forth. They're not asking me how much it is. They're telling me this is what they want. What's the price? I send them the quote. They pay it in full. no questions asked. I'm telling you, it's just a different experience working with a different level of clientele, right? I also find that my clients are extremely generous. And I mean this whether I'm talking about my culinary clients, like when I'm doing classes and events and things like that, or even my consulting clients. I find that they're very, very generous. Whether I've had people where, when I've done certain events with them or done certain culinary services with them, almost tip me the same amount as what I charge them. Right? Like they are financially generous, but I also find that they're generous with their referrals. I find that they're generous with their testimonials. I find that they're generous with their feedback. They're just generous people. I remember I had one client who was doing like a 50th birthday dinner for her husband. And she had gotten all the guests like monogrammed wine goblets, right? And she got me one. And I was just like, oh, thanks. You know what I mean? Like, they're just generous people. And so the kind of clientele that I've had the pleasure to working with ever since I transitioned my brand to a high-end culinary brand, completely different. Okay? They're just easy to work with. I found that when I charged less, and this is coaching or consulting, when I've charged less, I've had more headache. It's like when I was charging lower prices, people wanted the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the galaxy. And it's like, you paid for a teaspoon worth of service and you want a gallon's worth of experience. So the clientele. So if you are looking to upgrade your clientele, then you might want to build a high-end culinary brand. So number 2, right? My work-life balance is at an all-time high. So at the time I'm filming this video, it is the beginning of 2021. And as it stands right now, I have 7 vacations scheduled on my calendar. 7. Not 3, not even 4. I have 7 vacations scheduled on my calendar, totaling just shy of 11 to 12 weeks, right? I also only work 4 days a week. And I don't work full 8-hour days. So just let that sink in. Okay. Work-life balance I don't really believe in work-life balance. I definitely believe in work-life boundaries, but my quality of life, is just higher. For the most part, I don't work on the weekends. And that's by design, right? I mean, unless I'm doing something for a very particular client, or unless the price tag is right, but that's my choice. Okay. I could take naps in the middle of the day. I don't do that all the time. I'm like responsible with my time, but the option is there. Okay. So my quality of life is just really, really high, but that was by design. And so I also needed a brand that could support that lifestyle choice and also could support the revenue that would support somebody who only wanted to work 4 days a week. So, and I also take off every July. So I don't work at all in the month of July, period. The end. Yours doesn't have to be July, but have you even had the thought of what it'd be like for every year? Kind of like being back in school, right? Like that you're off in the summer, or maybe you're off in the fall. I also take 2 weeks over the holiday every year. So I always take a winter sabbatical where I take off 2 full weeks, no work. It's amazing. And my birthday. Listen, there's 7 vacations. What I'm saying to you is with a high-end culinary brand, and the money is still coming in. I want to be clear. The money is still coming in. So with the high-end culinary brand, I have this high quality of life and I'm not losing revenue at the same time. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. Number 3, right? And this one I don't think I talk about enough, but I think it's super important, is that you get to be fully expressed from a creative culinary point of view. And this is what I mean. I remember working at catering companies and we were just making the same things over and over again. And it wasn't my recipe, but it's just the same menu over and over and over again. And I remember when I first started teaching cooking classes, one of the things I loved about it is that I was doing a different menu every night of the week, all month long. Different menu, different country, different cuisine, different techniques. But there were some things that really, some recipes, some certain styles of cooking that weren't really conducive to a class, like slow cooking on a smoker or something like that. It's not really conducive to a class. It had to be something that could fit within an hour and a half time frame, right? But even then, just the variety was great. And I remember saying to myself, I want to be able to be fully expressed in my culinary creativity. And I think about the movie, I think it's called Chef, right? And he wanted to cook what he wanted to cook. He wanted to cook how he wanted to cook, what he wanted to cook. And I think that's so important. And I think we don't talk about that enough in our industry. Is about that creative expression. And with the High-End Culinary Brand, I have that I can be as creative and expressive as I want to be, because I designed what y'all know I like to call it a box, a container big enough to hold that creativity. And it's so freeing to be able to experiment and cook and bake what I want, when I want, how I want. There's just a freedom there, because we got into this because we love food, and because we love to try different things, and because we love people and we love ingredients. And so to be stifled to one menu all the time, or a few set menus, it's just like womp womp. So no, to be fully expressed from a creative standpoint is like super huge. And I love that. This is our passion. We love this. Listen, I can tell you right now, people are not picking the culinary world because it's a walk in the park, right? Like, it can be very rewarding if done well, but if not done well, it can be extremely taxing and exhausting, and you can overwork and be underpaid. But the passion is there. And so I just remember losing the passion. I remember at one point I was working and I hadn't cooked at home in 3 years, because I was just so like burnt out of just like the mundane. And like, to be a chef, to be a food lover, to be a cook, to be a food enthusiast, and to not really really cook for yourself, for 3 years is like the ultimate sign of burnout. So that creative expression, super, super important. And I love that I have that in a high-end culinary brand. Number 4. And this is probably the thing that draws the most people outside of like the work life, the quality of life and the work-life balance, is the charging the premium prices. Listen, I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to lie. It's nice. I want to say this to you, and I really want you to get this, right? And this video is a little bit more casual. I know the other ones, like, I really want you to get this. It takes the same amount of work to charge $1 for something than it does to charge $100 for something, than it does to charge $1,000 for something, and $10,000. It takes the same amount of work. The work may be different, but it takes the same amount of energy, right? The dollar store has to deal with the pros and cons of selling things at $1, the same way that Tiffany & Co. has to deal with the pros and cons of selling things at a premium price. There's positives and not so positives to both, but what I can tell you is I enjoy when those invoices come through, when the online, what one of my mentors calls sleep coin, I like to call it sleep dollars, comes through. I like that it's in larger sums. That's just my personal preference. And again, that's not to be braggadocious. It's like, but just imagine what that feels like. Like, I make more money now working less than I did when I was working more. So this idea that working more is the solution or working harder is the solution. No, it's really about working smarter. And I know people say that all the time, but they don't tell you what that means. It's designing a different box, a different system, a different strategy, a different brand. You can build a dollar store. You can build a McDonald's. You can run that. Or you can learn how to go and build a Burberry or a Tom Ford or whatever, right? Like, so yes, I'm going to use fashion and makeup examples because these are things that I like, right? You can learn how to build and run a Walmart, or you can learn to run and build a Nordstrom's or a Harrods of London, right? You're going to have to learn something anyway. It's really up to you. Again, I said, all of those brands that I named, dollar store all the way to Cartier, whatever, are all successful in their own right. But you also know that there's different clientele at each one of those stores. You also know that their marketing is different. You also know that the way they present their business is different, right? So for me, I just chose, and if you're here and you're watching this series, I just chose the high-end route because that's what I like. And I found that it changed my business and my life faster than going the low end route. Like, I remember when I was selling cakes for $25 and $35. And now I remember thinking, how am I going to scale this at 25 and 35 bucks. Yes, I could open a bakery and do all the overhead and then be tied to one city and that. And that wasn't for me. For some people, that's what they want to do. And you can still have multiple streams of income with the brick and mortar. So don't get me wrong, but that just wasn't for me. So I love being compensated well for the work that I do and not having to have a gazillion clients to get me there. That's what I love about a high-end culinary brand. And then here's one that I don't think in the food service industry is hardly talked about at all. This is number 5. Is that building something that can live long term, right? If you know me in real life, or if you're one of my clients and you're watching this, you know, as one of my mentors, I have about 3 business mentors, but one of my mentors says she's a God girl. I'm a God girl. And I'm just going to say this, that the scripture says that a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. A lot of people are building jobs and you can't pass down a job, right? A lot of people are building side hustles. Y'all know how much I despise that phrase, right? But a lot of people are building side hustles. A side hustle cannot live past you. But when you start to build a brand, and when you start to build a company, not just your little business, when you start to build a brand and a company that you can scale and grow and either sell at some point if you want to, or leave to someone, or that it could, even if there's no one for you to leave it to, but it could outlive you. Like, that's a big deal. And the way you approach that is very different, right? So those are the 5 benefits of having a high-end culinary brand. The level of clientele, or the type of clientele that you deal with, is just completely different. They're pleasant, they're generous, they pay in full, they pay on time, they pay in advance, they don't argue about your prices. They're super generous. Secondly, is the level of quality life is amazing, right? The business, a high-end culinary brand, is built around your life. Your life is built first. At least that's the way I approach it with my clients. And then you build the business around that, not build the business and then try to stick your life in pieces. Like, we don't do that over here. The third thing is being fully expressed from a culinary standpoint, from a culinary creativity standpoint. You know, if you haven't seen the movie Chef, I definitely recommend that you watch it. But it's kind of that journey about like really wanting to, you know, all the food ideas and the recipe ideas and the ideas that you have in your head. You need a container, a box that can hold all of that, but hold it together where it makes sense and that it's profitable, and so that you don't burn out. And then the next 2 is like charging premium prices. Listen, who doesn't want to charge premium? I mean, okay, maybe some people don't want to charge premium prices. I prefer premium prices. If you're here and you've watched this far, you obviously want to charge premium prices. If you haven't watched my video, which is kind of like an acid test about where you are with the whole premium prices mindset, you absolutely should watch this. I've got all these videos in a playlist. So like I said, you can have a whole marathon session where you can watch all these videos and like feel like you're getting a degree in culinary, in non-traditional culinary entrepreneurship, because culinary school does not teach this. Culinary school teaches you how to start a restaurant if you ever happen to get enough capital and time, or run a catering company. Very little on anything else that you can do in the culinary world. So that's why I'm here, right? To help you build a very non-traditional high-end culinary brand with multiple streams of income. And then the last one is to build something that you can leave as an inheritance to your children's children, or something that you can build long term. Even if you're not a spiritual person, if you have a family, like, you can understand that, right? That you don't want to have worked your whole life for something that dies with you. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you haven't already and you've watched this far, make sure you subscribe. I know you hear that in all the YouTube videos, but it's important because I don't want you to miss out on these valuable trainings that I'm dropping every single week. If you're not following me on Instagram, I absolutely think you should. So with that being said, I hope you found this video enjoyable. Save it to your favorites so that you can come back and watch it again, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Now, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that you never miss a new episode. And to see what I'm cooking up behind the scenes, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook as Chef Evelyn. That's all for today, and I'll see you next week. Peace.